Alright, so today we are continuing with wrapping up, closing down our year of 2023 with talking about the best animes of 2023, in my opinion, of course. I want to start by noting that I'm no anime critic. I'm not here to pick out about a show's flaws and pointing out every detail I dislike. If I was here for that, it would kind of ruin the show for me. I don't want to do that, except with the things that I really hate, and this is not one of those. So, I will also note at the start that as far as genres that I enjoy a very, very wide range of genres in animes. There's a couple that I don't watch, but there's tons that I do, even if it's just for like one or two shows in this genre or that. But yeah. These are all the first seasons that I'm evaluating. I was thinking about evaluating rather various second seasons that I watched, or fourth or so season were up to par, but I don't want to evaluate those because otherwise that like gets into conflict with who's seen the previous season that came out a couple of years ago and such. I wanted to stick to just things that would require the investment of a single season from this year of anime. Partly because it's easier for me to recommend an anime to you if I just have to recommend one season. So, I also do think before we get into the one and only anime that I think is the best one of this year, I think this year has actually been just stacked with all sorts of great anime in a lot of genres. Just to go over a few. In the winter, we had The Angel Next Door Spoils Me Rotten, and Tomo-chan is a Girl, to name a couple. In the spring, we had Hala's Paradise and Oshinoko, two fantastic, very different animes. And in the summer, we had the Zam 100 Bucket List of the Dead and Undead Murder House, and we'll give a bonus one for summer. We had Hulk as well. In the fall, we had Frieren, Beyond Journeys In, and The Apothecary Diaries, though Frieren, I believe, is still going. And that should illustrate just like how incredible of a year we've had for animes in 2023. And honestly, that's just the tip of the iceberg. I've seen plenty more from 2023, and there are plenty more great ones. The Dangers in My Heart is the show, the anime that I have picked for, well, my anime of the year. And it is, in some ways, just a typical middle school rom-com anime. But we will get to what I think is special about it, as I've done some thinking about that before I made this video. But before we get to that, I want to go into just a quick little bit of detail as to what is this show that I'm talking about, especially since I don't know if it was one of the most popular ones that everyone watched. So, the story. A story intro, you know. We have the two leads. The male main character is, well, some would call him Chunibyo. Some might call him Aji. He would tell you that he has the dark, twisted mind of a killer. He would. I would say he's shy, reserved, and has some self-confidence issues, and perhaps some of his hobbies are maybe a little strange. Well, not strange, different from his peers. And I don't fault him for any of those things. Then the female main character we have is popular, with stoutly contrasting the shy and reserved male lead, and she frequently ends up in the library with the main character. Both of them frequently go there often for completely different reasons. The male main character likes to be alone and read books. The female main character, she wants somewhere that she can eat her snacks away from her friends. And they just happen to end up in the same location because of that. And they interact, and you get to see how things go from there. I don't really want to spoil how things develop, but in some ways, both characters frequently they communicate, but they often are ending up on completely different wavelengths of communication. For the male main character, it's often because he has these self-confidence issues. And I guess it could be for the female main character also somewhat because of his self-confidence issues, but also maybe just because she's not used to interacting with people like him. Among maybe other reasons, but now the weird thing is I have spent a lot of time before making this video trying to think of what things I think make this show special, and I really do think this show is special out of everything in the last year, in 2023. I don't have the best of answers. I'm going to come out and say it right here, but I do have one thing that I think is the answer that I have. And that is that the episodes, and I guess this spoils a tiny bit of the first episode, maybe, but the episodes always seem to, at least I think it's always, I didn't check every episode, but the episodes always seem to, at least often, culminate in just like a single beautiful, meaningful, extraordinary moment, like both with the music and the visuals culminating in this moment, and oftentimes having a title card for the episode, and having a bit of thoughts from the male main character, usually some introspection or something, and it just makes the whole episode. It's so good, and I found myself like every week I was looking forward to the whole episode of The Dangers in My House. Like every week, all week I'd be like, oh, can't wait to watch it. But beyond that, I was more looking forward to very specifically seeing that moment. The moment when something, they make it extraordinary. The moment they push beyond the normal parts of the show. I also think beyond that it's very well done how they have like this steady character growth and relationship growth most every episode. But that's like a side thing. I really think the thing I've thought of is this moment that they build to every episode. And for a little context, I have watched the show through try. Once when it was initially coming out subbed, and then when it came out dubbed in English, I watched it through that time as well. And both times I loved those moments that they build to every episode, even when I know what moment is coming up. So perhaps there's more I should say about the dangers in my house, but I want to get this video out before I start watching the next season of it, which is due to come out any time now. So in closing, I cannot really say what the best anime of 2023 is, even if I agreed with the very idea that there exists a singular best anime of a given year. But if you would like my recommendation for one anime of the year, it goes to the dangers in my house. If you're curious, I did kinda have 2 runner-ups of the year, and I've mentioned them earlier. One of them, Undead Murder House, the other is Hulk, both of which are fantastic. But more about them perhaps at a later date. Now, if this sparked an interest in you, consider giving it a try, giving the dangers in my house a try. Oh, maybe let me know what animes or shows you've been having a blast watching, and YouTube thinks you may enjoy this.